Fort McClellan was a United States Army post first established in 1917. It played an integral role during World War II by training nearly 500,000 troops. Until its closure in 1999, Fort McClellan was home to the Chemical Corps and the Chemical Corps School, which trained soldiers in chemical warfare and used them in experiments. Prior to its closure, the post employed 10,000 military personnel, half of whom were permanently assigned, and about 1,500 civilians. It is well known that between 1935 and 1999, Fort McClellan was a toxic chemical waste dump. Along with being the former home to the U.S. Army Military Police Corps and its school, it was once shut down by the Environmental Protection Agency because of the toxins contaminating the water and the soil on base. These toxins included the radioactive compounds cesium-137 and cobalt-60, along with mustard gas and other nerve agents which were used for decontamination training and stored on base. Many veterans that either trained or served at Fort McClellan suspected that PCBs and other toxins were released by Monsanto into the environment. For decades, the biotech and seed company dumped tons of chemicals in and around Anniston area, not far from where the base is located. The controversy culminated in 2003 with a $700 million settlement with residents of Anniston. However, many Fort McClellan veterans have reported some of the same symptoms as the people in Anniston, but both Monsanto and the federal government have yet to recognize them as victims of the contamination. It should be no surprise that Monsanto is complicit in the poisoning in and around Anniston. Monsanto knew for decades that the deadly PCBs were being released and that they were affecting the citizens of Anniston and the personnel stationed at Fort McClellan. Despite the claims of many Fort McClellan veterans reporting similar symptoms as the victims in Anniston, both Monsanto and the federal government, specifically the Department of Veterans Affairs, have yet to recognize them as victims of the same contamination. It should be no surprise that Monsanto is complicit in the poisoning in and around Anniston. Monsanto knew for decades that the deadly PCBs were being released and that they were affecting the citizens of Anniston and the personnel stationed at Fort McClellan. Despite the claims of many Fort McClellan veterans reporting similar symptoms as the victims in Anniston, both Monsanto and the federal government, specifically the Department of Veterans Affairs, have yet to recognize them as victims of the same contamination. The veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces are a forgotten and underserved group. While its ranks are diverse, they see themselves as a single organism born of shared experience. Gender, race, and sexuality are not part of the group's identity, only the fact that they have served. The Department of Veteran Affairs, a government agency besieged by decades of scandals and poor levels of care, has acknowledged the concerns of Fort McClellan veterans, but refused to officially recognize that the veterans and their families' illnesses are related to the PCB contamination, leaving many without the medical and financial benefits they need and deserve. The tragedy that is the treatment of the Fort McClellan veteran community should never be forgotten. Their story is lost among the screaming voices clamoring for the attention of the public eye, and that they are denied the environmental justice they deserve. Often these groups are without voice and do not receive the political attention needed to create action for change. What will you do? What changes are you willing to make? What can we do to make a difference?